How's it going, guys? Brito here with my EX06 Beelzemon deck profile. Instead of showing you my actual cards, I decided to use the Eggman Events website deck builder. Wanted to test it out. My friend Research the Squirrel suggested it, and so far I'm enjoying it. So without further ado, let's get into the EX6 Beelzemon deck profile. Start us off with the eggs. Yaman. I still run the 4. A lot of people decide whether choose between Yaman and Pagu. I still think Yaman is a better, more consistent egg. It pretty much when attacking once per turn, if this Digimon has Wizard or Demon Lord in its traits, trash top 2 cards of your deck. That's pretty much just going to be your level 4s and higher. Wizard, Witch, Wizard X, Balls, the 3 balls, Beelzemons, the Beelzemon Blast Mode, like all of them are either Demon Lord or Wizard in traits, so they all get it. Now, none of your Impmons can do it because they're all evil. Regardless, this is kind of a stack build where you want to go up to your Balmon. So the Yaman is probably the best egg because you get the most mills off it. With the Pogumon, it's on deletion, so you have to rely on your guy dying to get your guy deleting in order to get the mill 2, as opposed to this Yaman where you go into a 4, you go into your 5 or higher. You could attack, mill 2, and if it stays alive, the next turn you could swing again, mill 2 more. So with this deck, the game plan is to turbo as much as you can. Now for the rookies, we have pretty much everything Impmon and Impmon X. So we run 4 of the starter deck Impmon. The reason I still run them at 4 is because floodgates are still a thing, especially with Numemon running around. They still run the Chikoris. They still run the Chumons. The Chumons is what hurts this deck the most because of the memory stoppage, memory gain stoppage. So honestly, with the Unheritable, when a card is trashed from your deck, delete level 3. This helps out a lot. Also with Ukomons, with the Nume matchup, which is this format's big bad. Oftentimes their game plan is to keep their Ukos on board to gain value from the egg and the searches and memory gain whenever they promote. So this Impmon is very, very good for just getting them off the board. It also kind of encourages the Numemon player to swing their Numemons early, not Numemons, their Ukomons early, so you can get them off the board a lot quicker. Granted, you'll lose security if they swing at you, but still, it's this guy. This guy helps a lot. In the late game, he warps into your boss monster, into Beelzemon, and this card has everything. It has the aggression, has the control. Like I love that about Beelzemon, the deck. Then we run 3 of on deletion Imp, simple Impmon to just try to turbo trash. We run the 1 of the EX2 Imp. Everyone knows why it's a 1 of. It just helps you accelerate your trash setup. Tip: early game, don't play this guy. Do not play this Impmon. His on play is reveal top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card with Beelzemon in its name, and 1 Iron Mako from among them to your hand. Place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck. I want you to ignore the first sentence of the effect and just read the last part. Place your remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. Most of the time you're going to play this guy, and he's just going to on-play bottom deck 4 cards. 4 cards you could have possibly milled and gotten a bunch of value off of. So early game, he's not that worth. He's mainly here for the mill extender. In certain matchups, his Inheritable will also come up, but for the most part, he's the mill extender. 1 BT6 Imp. He's very, very good for helping recur Beel's X's from the trash. On play, you may trash 1 card in your hand. If you do, return 1 Digimon with Summon Great Demon Lords or 3 Musketeers types from your trash to your hand. With certain builds, you run Beelstar. You can use him to recur Beelstar. And in this current list, I'm not running Beelstar. I'll explain why a little later. But he pretty much picks up all your Beelzemons except for Blast Mode. So you can even pick up Beel's X. So oftentimes I use him to pick up Beel's X. And then I run 4 of Imp X. Imp X is really, really good for multiple reasons. One, I really, really like him for his Inheritable when attacking trash 2 cards of your deck. So what I pretty much want to do with this list is build up to a BT10 Balmon and have all the inheritables that make me mill. So when I turn sideways and attack, I can mill as much as I can. Instead of just trying to Digivolve up and mill as I Digivolve, I'm trying to build in the back safely and then promote next turn and swing. Uh, so I really like Imp X for his inheritable, and then his on play when digivolving. By trashing one option card in your hand, you may return one Digimon with Evil, Wizard, or Demon Lord and trait from your trash to your hand. Yeah, spoilers. That's every single one of your Digimon. Literally, all the Impmons are evil. All the Wizardmon and Wizard X, Witchmon, all the Ballmons, they're all either Wizard. Yeah, no, all your level 4s and 5s are Wizard, and then all your level 6s and 7, they're all Demon Lords. So you could use this guy to pick up just about every single card in every single Digimon in your deck. So he also, yeah, he just returns the Digimon card, yeah. For the level 4s, I run 4 Wizard, 4 Wizard X's, and then 1 Witchmon. The reason why I prefer the Wizard X over the Witchmon is because, like I mentioned before, I'm trying to build the stack. I'm trying to build safely in the back up until a BT10 Balmon, and if I just Evo in the back, it stays safe. Witchmon, her value really comes in when mid to late game when you're trying to reach a certain number in trash. Like let's say you're at 17, or even when you're at 27, and you have an Impmon on board. Digivolving to the Witchmon will get you to the 30. The inheritable to get plus 2k, it also helps out in certain matchups, like for example Tyrant, or even if there's a Greymon still running around your locals, the Witchmon can help get over like a DP threshold. But for the most part, the Witchmon is kind of mid, in the sense where in this list, the way I play it, I'm only using her to get to a certain number. When it comes to wizards, I prefer to mill wizards. Like I prefer to just digivolve into one of them in the back and the rest mill. But for the most part, his main objective is to simply, when this card is trashed, gain a memory. He's your extender for like turns to keep gaining memory and stuff. Wizard X, he's really good utility because he has a lot of different uses. For the most part, I use him most for his when attacking, same as the Imp X, trash top 2 cards of your deck. So stacking multiple of them, like yeah, trashing top 2, it's not that big of a deal. But when you combo that up with the Yaman, the Imp X, the Wizard X, and the BT10 Balmon, you're milling a total of 2 off the Yaman, 2 off the Imp X, 2 off the Wizard X, and then 3 off the Balmon. So that's 2, 4, 6, and then 9 from the Balmon. So just by having that kind of stack, turning the Balmon sideways, you trash top 9 cards of your deck. That is extremely powerful because it doesn't matter how lucky you are, you're going to get mill triggers off just milling that. And that's solely off by digivolving in the back. I prefer to go second. Let's say my opponent puts me to a 2, which is kind of the standard now. You go Imp, any one of the Imps, or even straight into Imp X. You go into any one of your level 4s, let's say Wizard X, so you're at 0, and then you Digivolve for 3 into this BT10 Balmon, putting your opponent to 3. Then you have all the mill 2 stacks, the inheritable stack. And with that alone, like you're milling so many cards. The odds of you milling a Beelzemon is very, very likely. So that's my level 4 lineup. That's part of the reason. That's the main reason why I like having Wizard X at 4. He also has a lot of utility when it comes to like when digivolving, the whole trash top 2 of your cards of your deck. If you have the Wizardmon or X antibody in the sources, he gains blocker instead. I rarely go into like, I rarely tuck an X antibody under one of my X's, Impmons to digivolve into Wizard X. I never really do that. It's usually I usually either just digivolve straight into Wizard X or Wizard, then Wizard X, because the blocker does come up a lot, especially if you digivolve afterwards into a Balmon in the front. You have that blocker that has on deletion play out of Beelzemon trash if you have 10 or more cards in trash. So that's a very good defensive tool. It kind of deters your opponent from swinging with bigger guys. That's something that you got to keep in mind. Trash top 2 or gains blocker instead. So keep that in mind, guys. So for the level 5s, I prefer BT10 Balmon. I've always preferred BT10 Balmon. I don't see myself ever changing my preference. The reason I prefer the BT10 Balmon is because I could safely digivolve in the back, have my opponent not be able to interact with it at all, promote, swing, and still have the on deletion. Even if it survives, the next turn, as long as my opponent didn't like digivolve it or anything, I could continue swinging, milling, turboing my trash and still have the on deletion from this Balmon. I run him at 4 because he's the Balmon I want to see early game. He's the one that I want to see early, mid, late game. I always want to see him. This Balmon, the starter deck Balmon, he is also a really, really good Balmon, but I prefer to see him mid to late game because he has 2 Wind Digivolving effects. One, trash the top 3 cards of your deck, and then he has the Wind Digivolving to gain the on deletion until end of your opponent's turn. So those of you who don't quite understand the difference, this Balmon, the BT10 one, he has when attacking trash top 3, and then naturally he has the effect on deletion. Play out of Beels. So he always has the on deletion, and he has the potential of milling more if you swing with him multiple times, as opposed to the starter deck Balmon, where oftentimes what you want to do with him is you want to Digivolve, trash the 3, gain the on deletion. If you keep turn, you could then Digivolve into a Beelzemon afterwards, and he still has the on deletion effect because the Digimon gains it until end of turn. So he is a good Balmon, but he's not the one that I prefer because of my playstyle of Digivolving in the back. Because if you Digivolve in the back with this starter deck Balmon, you wouldn't get any of his Wind Digivolvings. So he's just a stack that doesn't like bring out another Digimon when he's deleted. So he's easily punishable if you use him the wrong way. This Balmon, just Digivolve him in the back and you're fine. Then I run one Balmon X. I hate this card with a passion. I hate it. And I know hate is a strong word, but the reason I don't like him is because he doesn't float. He doesn't have the on deletion play of Beels. So if he's your only level 5 in hand, well, tough luck. That stack is easily killable. The only reason why he's in the list is because I'm running X Antibody. Before I didn't like running X Antibody, but once I get to the options, I'll explain more about the option of why I like running it now. So yeah, for my level 5s, BT10 Balmon at 4, starter deck Balmon at 2, and then Ball X at 1. So I run a total of 7 level 5s. I really like them at that high count because it kind of helps me guarantee that I can draw into them early. Then for my Beelzemons, I run a total of 5 Beelzemons, 2 Beels X's, and 1 Blast Mode. So the Beels, to start off, let's do the starter deck Beelzemon. He's really good for aggression, but he's best late game. The reason why he's best late game is because he's a 4-cost Evo, and then all turns when a card is trashed from your deck, gain 1 memory for every 10 cards in the trash, and he has Wind Digivolving Trash top 4. So, in other words, the earlier you Digivolve into him, the more expensive he gets. Because if you don't have like an Iron Mako, or if you don't have 10 cards in trash when you Digivolve into him, he's straight up going to be a raw 4-cost to Evo. If you mill memory like a Deathslinger or a Wizard, then yeah, he becomes a little cheaper. But you're relying on high rolls that way. You're relying on luck, and I don't like relying on luck when I come to play this deck. I prefer to increase consistency, increase likelihood that I'm gonna hit something. So with this card, the earlier you see him, the more expensive he is. That's the reason why I only run him at 1. I only really want to see him late game because he's perfect for the Warping Imp play. Then standard, I run 2 of the EX2 Beels. He is arguably one of the best Beels, probably first or second, depending on your playstyle. He does everything. When he gets trash from your deck, he plays an Impmon from the trash without paying its memory cost. And then he has Wind Digivolving when attacking, not once per turn, to essentially delete one of your opponent's Digimon. You don't have to mill 2 cards, but you have to pop every time you swing with him or you Digivolve. So keep that in mind. You can't avoid popping something with this guy. You have to pop something. That could be good for you or bad for you, but yeah, just keep that in mind. And this guy's just like the Deathslinger and all the other stuff that we pop. It usually starts at a level and then scales up for every 10 cards in trash. So the earlier the game that he is, the less things he's popping. But the later the game, the stronger the things he deletes. So that's part of the reason why I want to turbo trash as quickly as we can, because it just buffs up all of our other effects. Then, for the new toy of the set, Beelzemon from EX06. So this guy, I love this guy. This guy's amazing. He's part of the reason why I changed up my playstyle of playing Beels from a little bit more control to less control to more aggression, to more aggressive builds. So this guy, he has naturally rush. So if your Balmon gets deleted and you play this guy, this Beelzemon can go ahead and swing again. So he has on play and when digivolving, trash the top 4 cards of your deck. Then, if there are 10 or more cards in your trash, de-digivolve 2, one of your opponent's Digimon. And then he has the all turns for the gates for the Seven Great Demon Lords deck. The all turns is completely irrelevant to us playing Beelzemon, pure Beelzemon. So his rush and on play when digi effect are what makes this card so cracked. Rush is cool and all, but the on play d-digi 2. So there's been a lot more cards to come out that has made it very, very negative for us to interact with. So there's a lot of cards that say when this card gets deleted, do something, and sometimes we don't want that something to happen. For example, yeah, Numemon, for example. Nume X has the inheritable on deletion. So let's say you pop their Monzai, you Death Singer their Monzai, and they have on deletion play out a Nume. They play out the Platinum Nume. So there's a lot of times where we don't want to straight up pop something, but the D-Digivolve 2 still interacts with them. It still removes the threat without deleting it. So this, the D-Digivolve 2, in my opinion, is the best part of this card, okay? It helps out with so many different ways. Like, for example, even if you do it early game when you only have like 10 cards in trash and you can only target certain things to pop, de-digivolving 2, like let's say they have a level 6 on board and you can't exactly Death Slinger it because you're not at enough, you de-digivolve 2, it's back to a 5, it's back to a 4. Like it might even go back to a 3 sometimes, depending on what is it you're de-digivolving. So you're setting your opponent back and you're able to pop it now with all your other effects. So this guy, he is great. He is perfect for this meta, and he's a card that I think every single Beelzemon player should play. I've talked to other Beelzemon players, and they don't think this card is that good. Dude, with the rush alone, that should get you excited. But I think the rush takes away people's attention from the actual value of this card, which is the D-Digivolve 2. Don't sleep on this card. This card's amazing. So I run 2 of this Beelzemon, 1 of the starter deck, and then 2 of the EX2 Beels. The reason I'm running those ratios is because I kind of wanted a healthy balance of aggression and control at the same time. Because this guy, he's really, really good for aggression and control. Like they all do have their own little balance of aggression and control, except for this Beelzemon. Like you have to get a little bit more creative to use him defensively. Because of his all turns effect, when a card is trashed from your deck, gain 1 memory. So like you have to get creative with him. But yeah, 2 of the EX2 Beels, 2 of the EX6 Beels. Rush plays out an Imp. You could build wide boards with this guy. You could just go straight for face with this guy, so it's great. 2 Beels X, it's the standard. 1 Blast Mode, it's your Omnimon for game. It's your Blitz Omni for game. Now for the options, I run 1 X Antibody, 3 Death Slingers, 4 Rivals, and 1 7-fold cluster. Since I'm going for less of a control build, I'm going for more an aggressive build, like X Antibody's back in. I never really liked X Antibody before because it's a 1-of in most cases. With a build like this, the argument can be made to run it at 2. I was running it at 2 at one point, but I decided to drop it down to 1 to just increase consistency because I started like upping ratios of certain other cards just to see them more often. But yeah, the reason why I didn't like them before is there wasn't enough plays, in my opinion, to really get utilize this guy. And now with the new on play Beels, now with the new Rush Beels, there's more of a reason to run X Antibody. So honestly, I've won games. I've OTK'd my opponent just because it's like I have a BT10 Balmon in the back. I have an Impmon in the front. Next turn I promote, swing the Imp. That's 1 check. Swing with the Balmon. That's another check. Have spawn out this Beels when the Balmon dies. I mill top 4. I'm at 20 cards in trash now. I swing with this. Well, I tuck the X Antibody into this Beels. I swing. Then I mill 2. Trash top 2 off the Beels X, and it's just crazy, dude. It's crazy. It's with a combination of this new Beels, the X Antibody option. Now there's more opportunity for you to use it, and it's just super plus, especially by going into the Beels X. You never want to do X Antibody to go into any one of your X Antibody cards. It's literally just X Antibody to go into Beels X. Like that's the most value out of doing it. And honestly, the coolest play to do it is to tuck mid to late game when you have 20 cards in trash, tuck the X Antibody under this Warping Imp, swing with the Warping Imp, and oftentimes this guy's going to want to be your target because he gains memory. But honestly, depending on the situation, you might either want to do this to deal with a blocker or do this to deal with like a level 6 or something. So yeah, it's the versatility of now the Beels you have is just really, really great. So the warping with the X Antibody, it's just super, super plus. With that being said, I think X Antibody is a great card for this current format and for the current iteration of this deck. I can also see you taking out X Antibody to like up the count of other things, like maybe, I don't know, taking out this X Antibody to add in like a Beelstar to build wider to help you out with the Magnamon matchup. With the current list, I think it'll do okay into Magnamon. You just gotta like be very, very aggressive with it and clear their security or clear as much security as you can before they can get one, maybe two Magnamons out. Once you get to two Magnamons out, unfortunately, it's kind of GG. You kind of lose the game from there. But yeah, now for the options: 3 Deathslinger, 4 Rivals, 1 Cluster. 3 Deathslingers is fine. 4 is best, but you need to make space. And this is probably the easiest cuttable one, just because the memory gain is awesome and all, but it's not as crucial as guaranteeing popping like one of their highest DP. Also, from your hand, this guy is pretty plus. I guess if you prefer, you could just cut Rivals to put the 4th Deathslinger in, but I prefer Rivals at 4 because this is the main recursion of this deck. I have other stuff to recur like the BT6 Imp and Imp X, but the Rivals, it's super plus, just popping it, pick up anything random from trash, any purple Digimon or Tamer, so like honestly Rivals is best. 1 Cluster, it's still a really good tool to use the Beels X to delete one of your opponent's Digimon at the lowest level when you Digivolve into Beels X. But yeah, 1 is just fine. If you want to play more control, then you could rearrange this a little bit to add more clusters. But the main the main objective of this deck is to just go straight for security and just passively use all your other effects to control your opponent's board. So yeah, you swing with this guy at security, you pop one of their bodies, you pretty much Digivolve into this guy, you de-Digivolve to one of their guys, and so yeah, it's go for security, and then in the meantime, as you're playing aggressive, this deck naturally just plays control at the same time. So yeah, and then 4 Iron Makos just for consistency. For me, I feel like the 4th Iron Mako is another flex spot where you could just cut it to run something else. But for the most part, I think 4 just to be consistent. That's the Beelzemon deck profile. Is there anything I would want to change? I don't think so. I guess making a cut anywhere you want to put in like a Beelstar to help out with the Magnamon X matchup would be beneficial, because I feel like with the deck itself as is, it's okay into Magna X. Running a Beelstar though, that's what makes the matchup, in my opinion, more in your favor. You just got to see your pieces, hope they don't see their pieces, and it's a guaranteed win for you. If they get Magna turn 2, the game just gets infinitely just way more hard. Is there anything else? The Nume matchup. The Nume matchup is kind of tricky because oftentimes they just try to flood your board with Ukos, and then to gain enough memory to be able to like Jerry, Nume, Manzai X. So honestly, what you want to do is you want to just use the Impmons, the starter deck Impmons, to pop their Ukos, and then try not to give them more than 3 memory. 3 memory is what enables them to do all their plays. So as you're trying to choke them to 2 or less and popping their Ukos, you also want to use like your Death Slingers or Blast Mode or anything else to pop whatever Jerry or Nume X they have on the board. And by the time they get into like a Manzai or Manzai X, you have to try to go for a play that plays out this Beelzemon. Because if you can't, you shouldn't deal with like a Manzai stack that has the Nume X inheritable. You shouldn't deal with that by popping it. You should deal with it by de-Digivolving it. So that's pretty much how you play against those 2 decks. I think everything else, matchup-wise, gets kind of handled by the new Beels. So for example, any of the DNA decks, honestly, the Beelzemon just handles them. It's like, oh, they have a Pyodramon out. All right, go into this Beels, de-Digivolve by 2. You don't have to worry about the DNA anymore. You don't have to worry about partition. You can just pop it afterwards. I love this Beal so much. This guy's really, really good. So yeah, that's my deck profile. I'm gonna leave a link to this list through the Eggman Events website. I'm gonna leave it down in the description. So if you guys just like want to revisit instead of just watching the whole video or something, you could just click on the link and boom, there it is. So if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Take it easy, guys.